Hey there, thanks for joining me for another episode of New Day with Ashley. If you're looking for inspiration to make a difference and create lasting impact, then you're in the right place. Get ready to be encouraged by the stories of my guests who have taken risks, overcome challenges, and created opportunities. It's time to make the most of your new day. My guests today have a passion for building community. It's the immersive experiences in our community they've developed that are bringing people together to thrive. Joe and Simone Burgum from Folkways are on a mission to make Fargo the best place on earth to live. Well, welcome, Joe and Simone. It's so great to have you guys here from Folkways. So tell us a little bit about, who you guys are. Newly married. Newlyweds. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But then also Folkways. For people that maybe don't know, they probably know your events that you have.
Yeah, I think people are pretty familiar with the output or sort of the creation that we have at Folkways. And for Simone and I, it's been 8 years of projects. Let's see, I graduated from grad school and was living in Seattle and moved back to Fargo. And you've been out of school for a little bit?
I had graduated and working my first job in Minneapolis. It's never the right time to start something. So we just kind of jumped in.
So you both had moved back here?
Yeah.
Because you're both originally from here?
Yeah, both originally from here. Had been living and working, studying away, and learning a lot. I mean, I think it's super important to have those opportunities to live elsewhere and get inspired. And as Simone said, it's never the right time to start something, and we had known that, and so unforeseen circumstances not to plan at all. We're like, well, maybe now's the time to start working together. And we'd been really inspired by some creative studios that I'd seen in other parts of the country, firms that specialize in solving problems.
Sure.
And we said, how might we do that for our community? And how might we do that in more of like a social entrepreneurship kind of mentality? And we'd both done a lot of work in the nonprofit sphere leading up to that, and more of student empowerment and youth work, and I think sort of a new version of what we think of as philanthropy, and said, hey, what about investing in community? And so that's kind of where it all started, with a lot of little projects. I mean, I remember at one point in time we had a whiteboard. We were just working out of the house, and I think we had like 13 different projects listed on the whiteboard, but there were so many projects that we could only have 3 sticky notes of action items. So each project only had 3 things that needed to happen, because it was just, you couldn't go deeper than that. Yeah, exactly. But we started
with a bunch of different little experiments is kind of what we called them. And we were like, okay, well, let's see what resonates with the community, what sticks, what's the most important, and go from there.
Yeah, what had traction. We'd worked together on an event called Alley Fair, which was probably the first event we'd ever done, which was a fun placemaking event one time. Then I think the project that really started traction for us is that we were thinking about starting a farmer's market, had seen some lists online about what makes a community great. How do you make a downtown vibrant? And there was like 15 things on the list, and Fargo had already done 14 out of 15. Oh. And we're like, amazing, because we live in a vibrant place.
And they were all like really hard ones, like really complicated, like lots of governmental structure, and those were already all done.
We're like, great.
And then at the bottom of the list was have a weekly farmer's market. And we thought, okay, that seems like we should maybe focus on that. And then as we started working on that, we heard through kind of the grapevine of friends downtown, there were some other people that were thinking about starting a farmer's market.
Now, how many years ago is this?
So it would have been 8 years ago, right now.
Okay.
We're coming into our 8th season this year.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah. Crazy. It's wild. So there were 3 other collaborators that were thinking about starting a farmer's market, and we said, hey, let's just team up. And I think the big thing that we've taken in our journey of putting on projects and growing a small nonprofit and thinking about, working in community is this idea of radical incrementalism, is that you got to take massive small steps.
Sure.
When we started, we only had 10 vendors.
Yeah.
8
that
vendors.
We like begged to come.
So massive small steps. I like that. Yeah.
Lots of little ones. Because there's no such thing as an overnight success story, right? I mean, it's overnight for everyone who hasn't been working on it for 8 years.
Yeah.
We just heard about it because
Yeah,
they were
just-
living under a rock.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's kind of where it got going. But I mean, really inspired to think about how do we make Fargo a great place to live, and what, kind of our why as a nonprofit. Why do we feel a sense of belonging? Where do you feel connected, feel seen, which I think is almost innate as humans.
Right. Each of us. Yeah.
Is
That's our drive. Yeah.
yeah
Desire.
And so we think that a big part of that in community is through shared experiences and through a vibrant culture. And to what that means is you can feel connected, or there's a scene you can be a part of, or your interests or hobby, that there's others that are interested in that, or you just know that there's cool stuff going on. You might not go to every event, but you can be proud of your community. Say, there's like sweet stuff happening.
A lot
here.
of stuff going on. Yeah.
And there's no better way to do that than, food and markets. Food is such a connecting piece, no matter what culture you're from. And no matter what culture you're from, there's some sort of market type place where you can like make an exchange and you can have something that's created by the person that you just talked to. And it's so fun that we have a place that, someone who just moved here can plug into right away, and they can find their favorite restaurant or their favorite, coffee shop or whatever it is through this marketplace.
It almost feels like a front door to the community.
Right.
You don't need to have any badges to get in, or like be a part
of the
right?
club.
Yeah. And we've got other great community events. I mean, I look at the community around like NDSU athletics, which is awesome to see, and people are participating in that. But for two hometown kids that didn't go to college here, or for friends that have moved here, that's maybe not necessarily a tribe that you're connected with,
right?
In a way that a Saturday market, it's like, of course, like I'm going to come down and check
I'll
it
go
out.
check out the vegetables. I'll go check out
live music, grab a beer, have some food. So,
exactly.
So it's been really fun to see that evolve. I think another big part of our work is really this idea of placemaking, which is a newer idea, and I think it's really born out of community organizing and sort of a cousin to maybe even landscape architecture in some regards, and really human-centered design. And it's really amazing to have the Broadway Square now. I mean, we love working there. It's such a fantastic space. But the last 6 years, we were building our own spaces.
Right?
It was
our scrappy little plazas.
But I think that's part of the experience, though, too. Of using the spaces that Fargo had available, and then you guys transformed them into these incredible experiences where I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually in Fargo right now.
Right.
And amazing to see like how many people donated their time, donated plants, donated paint. Those little scrappy spaces were made by the community for them to enjoy at the market or at Night Bazaar or whatever other rental event we had going on at those.
Yeah, and I think that's really key to placemaking, is that it's born out of the place, and it's what you have, where you are, with what's available.
What you have,
and so it's been fun to have that evolve and to have people participate in the creation of plazas and pop-up parks. And even now we have our first Night Bazaar this Thursday here in June, and are really excited for that. And we have 4 of them this summer. And again, each one will be a little bit different, and we'll be able to improve upon them week over week.
So what transpires at an event like that?
Night Bazaar is one of our more unique events. We love it because it brings so many different aspects of the community's talents together. So it's a live performance event where you'll see circus performances, or you'll see ballet or aerialists, or, we've had fire spinners there before. Cool. We just try to find talented people in every corner of our community to be able to show off at the Night Bazaar. So we have that aspect of the event. And then there's the experiential part of the event. There's, henna tattoos. There's, you can do a tarot card reading. You can grab a fortune cookie and make a fortune for someone else.
Simone will be tying balloon
I'll
animals.
be making balloon animals.
I didn't know you had that talent.
A couple YouTube videos. Anyone can do it. We really want to have an event where you get out what you put into it and you really participate in the things, and see a whole new aspect of our community. We also will have the biggest market we've ever had at the Night Bazaar. So we do an artist market, makers market, and we'll have, I think, over 35, 40 vendors at that event.
Big.
So we'll have street food, we'll have paintings, we'll have vintage clothes, just a ton of different things, a little something for everyone. And
It's
of course,
going to be a vibe.
local drinks from Drecker, and Front Street Tavern.
Now, when did you start the Night Bazaar? Was that?
I think this is our fourth summer. We
Okay.
took the summer of 2020 off with this event. We've probably done 10 Night Bazaars over the last 4 or 5 years. We'll do 4 this summer. And again, just a Thursday night. I mean, for us as designers and as creatives, events are really the medium that we work in. And there's always a why behind it in terms of the reason for the event. And for Night Bazaar, we were really thinking about, how do we make downtown Fargo a place that's approachable for families?
Sure.
And how do you invite people to hang out after work? You get done at 5, maybe grab a bite to eat, kids come down, you meet a friend, you meet a cousin, and then you go to this event afterwards. And, that's a mission that's been akin to the Downtown Community Partnership and, the Third Thursdays from way back in the day and a lot of different cultural events that have happened. But we said, let's do something a little different than just like another concert.
Sure.
A little bit of a X factor to it. So really excited. It'll be a Night Bazaar, night market, street bazaar.
And then you turn around on a Saturday, you have Red River
and we
Market.
have the Red River Market. Yeah. And so as we mentioned, I mean, the why behind that was really, we're so fortunate to live in a community that's so small. I mean, we're a metro area of less than 250,000 people. And when I have friends come from out of town that have lived in Chicago or Seattle or have traveled the world and I show them downtown Fargo, they cannot comprehend just like the vibrancy or how cool it is or the quality of the coffee or just like what do you mean I can get this cocktail here and it's so cheap, it's just like all that. And it's
the parking's free.
So it's I feel we're so lucky to have, I think, again, whether you're going to the lakes or you're going hunting in Western North Dakota or you're coming downtown, we have all these different things that as a small place are really special.
Right.
And so for the farmers market, as a community that prides itself on being a place that grows a lot of food, right? And we're supplying a lot of commodity crops to the globe. What's our relationship with food? And the fact that we didn't really have like a Saturday farmers market. It was, when we moved back, it was a little selfish where Simone had been in Minneapolis and I'd been in Seattle and we got back and it had been like not that long and we're like, where's our farmers market? We're just like we wanted to go.
Because that is a great experience for people that have never been. And I go to other cities and towns, I'm like, I want to go to your farmers market. I want to check it out, and see what you have.
Yeah, between all of the performances that we have 3 musical performances, and then we have a cultural demonstration, which is either a dance performance, a theater performance. We've got a cooking demonstration, which you've participated
I got to do.
With a food tasting. We're adding a kids element to that this year, which is going to be really fun. So, between that and being in the plaza with the Imagination Playground, the splash pad, which is awesome, and just having the street open to the community, just to even sit. Most markets don't even have a place to sit, let alone all that free entertainment. So it's really a special place that's a little bit more than a normal market. It's really just like a community space.
Yeah, it really is.
So you guys moved back, and now I see like kind of a challenge of like, okay, we want a farmer's market, but there's not one. What are some of like the challenges, I guess, of like that you guys saw, or then taking a risk of like you said, there's no good time to start something, but what was that moment that maybe?
Yeah, well, I think a couple philosophies that we followed. I think particularly when we started, it was all volunteer, right? It was just sort of us working with friends, and I think that's how a lot of great projets start, right? Is you're passionate, or you're excited, or you connect with other people. And
we had the right team of volunteers getting started. We were all just after hours in our free time making dinner together and planning a farmer's market. But thinking back to the crew that we had to get it going, we were all aligned in the same vision. We all had talents and skills that like slotted into these different spots to get it going, and the relationships that we needed to access the right people. And really everything just fell into place because those folks had those talents.
Yeah. And I as I said already, this idea of being a radical incrementalist, where we knew when we started the farmers market, we had this like glimmer of what it could be. We said like Fargo-Moorhead Plus should have the best farmers market in the country, or at least top 10. Like there's no reason why not. But with farmers, like you could have 1,000 people, you could have 10,000 people show up in the fall and be so excited, but you only planted so much in the spring.
Right.
And so there's
the
a little
is
bit
really slow.
A little bit of just growing with vendors and at that rate. But I'd say the other thing, you asked about challenges that we face, but for us, I think there was also this realization of, because we're volunteering, because we're creating it, like it's only our expectations.
Sure.
And so let's make sure that we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like this shouldn't be like overly stressful or high stakes or like ruin relationships. And I think that was just a result of us having done volunteer projects before, and people get burnt out and you lose people. And so we said, hey, let's just make sure that everyone who's working on starting the farmers market, like that we're here to have like a good time, or at least it's not this like intense thing that people are not wanting to be a part of. But it's I think one of the things that I laugh at now that was, I don't think people say it because it's actually a problem, but I think it's because people have a hard time knowing how to support or new ideas. But I laugh at the number of people that asked me about how I was going to insure the farmers market, which is not a hard thing to do.
Okay.
But I think it's just one of these things that's sort of like, how's the weather? That sometimes you share an idea and someone doesn't know what to say, or they maybe aren't in sort of this like improv and yes kind of space, because I think that's when someone shares an idea to us, my prerogative is always like, how do I think of all the reasons why it will work?
Yeah. Like, great. How can we, exactly.
There's plenty of other people or reasons why it won't work, but you rarely run into individuals that are like, well, tell me, let's like, how do we keep, building the idea?
Yeah, I think especially the notion, well, like, oh, someone tried that before and it didn't work. And you're like, well, that's not the same group of people. It's not the same time. Maybe that was 10 years ago. We're a different community than we were then. There's different resources available. And, don't let someone else's failure weigh you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Be the new story. Yeah,
exactly.
We can change it.
Exactly.
There's a midnight brunch. Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
Can you guys bring that back?
We've
been thinking about midnight brunches a lot. Actually,
we'll talk.
Yeah,
I'll help you.
Yeah. Midnight brunches. I've been really wanting to do some more like pop-up dance parties.
Oh yeah.
I'd say that's sort of where I got my start. I was actually in high school and I was booking dances.
Really?
It was like we just wanted like clean, dry, parents approved kind of situation.
Multi-school.
Yeah, so kids from other schools could come, and the only requirement it has, it couldn't be in a gymnasium. So we just try to find like the American Legion ballroom, or just other spaces that we could dance in. But so my friends that I see from high school, I say, "What are you up to?" I said, "Still putting on parties." Yeah. still putting on parties.
Still doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except there's like many thousand people.
Yeah,
Of like
I mean,
right. Just 10,000 the closest friends.
Yeah, we'll see 150,000 people at the farmers
the
market this year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Which is fun. Well, and then Chris Kindle Mart.
Yeah, Chris Kindle Market. Yeah.
So this is we'll be back at the Civic Center in November. So we're excited.
Maybe explain what Chris Kindle Market is too a little.
Yeah, Chris Kindle Mart is a European-inspired holiday event. So we really wanted to take inspiration from what people are doing in Europe during the winters, because they have also very cold, very dark winters, and they seem to be having fun. So we took this idea of the Chris Kindle Markt, which is an evening marketplace that has food, it has drinks, it has holiday shopping, live music. And people, what we love about them is that people get done with work and they pop down to the market, maybe on Thursday, maybe on Friday, maybe they come back on Saturday with their kids and families or grandpa and grandma. And it's just a really fun, family-friendly, just festive indoor-outdoor experience. We really wanted to have an outdoor element as well, to really help us get encouraged to be outside. During the winter months. We do it before the weekend before Thanksgiving. So it's not super cold yet,
Right.
You know.
but it is still dark.
Still pretty chilly.
But you have like the little fires out there,
Yeah.
and don't you sell like s'mores kits or
Oh,
something?
yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. There's lots of fun things to do, and again, I mean, it's this quality of life thing. I mean, I think that, you know, if someone were to really be like, what does Folkways do? I think our prerogative is quality of life. I mean, that's what we're trying to do for the community. And, you know, part of that, I think, is, as we talked about, in feeling that sense of belonging, is communities need iconic things. You have to have things that you can point to and have those experiences. And look forward to. And seasonally, I mean, obviously the holidays is a big deal for many people. You know, Frostival has ebbed and flowed, and I think is still an interesting thing in our community in January. But even domestically, I mean, look at Chicago in their downtown. They've got an amazing Christkindl market. And it's just this massive city market in downtown Chicago. And then a lot of European nations do these amazing holiday markets. And we said we really wanted to think about what's that community tradition? Like, what's that thing that you get the mug, and it's the signature mug, and you want the mug every year, or the special drink you can only get there. And or that moment where we have grandparents sitting with grandkids roasting s'mores, and you just see people slow down and just smiling. And I think that is really the power of these community events, is not the fanfare or even the iconicness or people being excited, but just those intimate moments where people can really be and be present with one another. And that happens a lot at Christkindl Mart.
Yeah.
It's a really lovely event.
Yeah,
I like you talking about that slowing down though. That
And that's what the holiday season, people are always rushing around, and it's so stressful. And, you know, we're here to just make a space that people just want to hang out, spend, 90 minutes walking around, sitting by the fire, listening to a performance. And it's so special to hear people just say, oh, I come with my family every single year.
Yeah.
And, we love
we go. Yeah,
doing
every
this,
year.
this,
Yeah.
and this.
Like we bought a Christmas tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being part of people's memories and traditions and holiday experience is just, it's very special.
Yeah.
But those are some of the events. I mean, some of the other things that we get up to at Folkways is we're really plugged in on local art as well.
Yeah.
And so really being that liaison between artists and creatives and building owners downtown.
Sure.
And so it's fun to see new murals go up. I mean, the Bob Dylan mural that just went up downtown is super
where's
rad.
that one at?
Let's see, it's across the street from Zambro's.
Okay.
By Toasted Frog.
By Toasted,
Okay.
north of Toasted Frog.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the 400 block. So it's right by the new Mercantile building.
Oh, yes.
where the Goodyear
okay,
used to
sure.
be. So
we have a new mural.
we have a new mural that we're working
coming up.
on. Yep. Over behind Black Coffee and Waffle.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Right
it's
south of the
called
square.
Valley Alley.
Okay.
And it is a I Spy interactive mural. So
Really?
kids and families can come down and
Oh, cool.
have a little educational experience about local flora and fauna.
Wow.
And
Really
it
cool.
was designed by Mal's from Disgabled Design.
Okay.
And they made the whole design, and then we had some other artists paint the mural. So we're excited to launch that this week.
So are you guys behind most of those murals then?
No.
No. Okay. I'm like,
well,
really?
Simone says no. I mean, it's
Some.
Yeah.
Not all.
I mean, I think mural culture is really interesting because it is underground, right? I mean,
Sure.
there is something. I mean, this Bob Dylan mural, which we can take no credit for, it just happened,
Sure.
and I'd love to see that. You work with artists and they're creative and have different strengths, and planning isn't always that, or working with business owners, and so we often find that we can help connect artists.
Sure.
So like the Mario wall.
Yeah,
that was
right.
one where someone reached out and said, "Hey, do you have a location?" We said, "We could maybe introduce you to someone."
Cool.
So those are fun pieces. The Roberts Alley mural, that's one that we helped commission many years ago now. So
Yeah, we connect people with business owners, help with funding if we can, and whatever else people need for organization or permits or whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to see that, because it's neat to be able to have all that great art downtown.
Yeah.
And we've worked with some NDSU students that put together a walking tour. So there's a downtown walking tour website,
That's
which is
cool.
cool. And you can see all the different art
If you
pieces.
go to fargowalkingtours.com, there's there's a north tour and a south tour, and it has interviews with artists and all the information about each mural and who did them. So check that out. It's a really fun website. We're maintaining it now and trying to add new murals as they come up as well.
Cool. 'Cause I think that's like important, like that right there. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like to be a tourist in your own city.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's such a. It's great you say that, Ashley. I think that even if you're not, I mean, if you're feeling inspired or uninspired, I think pretending to be a tourist in your own town it's a really great way to get connected and
try new food, do a new walking path.
There's a great book, This Is Where You Belong, by Melanie Warnick. I think that's how you say her last name. And she actually writes about Fargo in her book, which is really cool. But she was someone who was popping around. Grass is always greener. Lived in like 5 cities in 6 years with her family, like trying to kind of find the spot. Yeah. And then finally just moved to a little town in Indiana and was like, I'm going to make it work here. And she just talks about her experience and tips for finding that sense of connection and like becoming a regular somewhere is one of the things she talks about. You go to a coffee shop or the same bar, you eat lunch on Tuesdays at this place. Yeah, exactly. Shopping local, going to your farmer's market. But sort of that staycation mentality or, being a tourist in your own town is a lot of fun. So we have a lot of, as you've heard, we work with a ton of different artists and there's some mural projects that, we've been able to really help get off the ground, which is cool. So,
do you guys have a favorite event or thing that you've put on?
I was just thinking we haven't talked about Canoe Parade, which I know is one of one of our sillier events. It's pretty small, but we really love it.
It's our smallest but most joyful event.
Most dressed up for, right?
Most dressed up for. Yeah. Well, Night Bazaar we dress up.
Yeah, okay. We've got costumes.
We've got costumes for everything. The Canoe Parade is a water parade.
Pageant.
Pageant.
So people can either rent canoes or kayaks or bring their own and dress up in just a silly outfit or decorate their canoe. Or we made a giant paper mache loon one time.
It's really just intended to be just an inspiration of the river, and that greater why around it is you look at news searches about the river and our relationship is so negative in the vernacular that we use, right? And we are what we say and what we think and how that affects our view of a place. And we're fighting the river, there's death in the river, and all this sort of stigma around it. And most cities around the world, the river is why they're there.
Sure.
And that's why Fargo is here, is because of the river and the railroad. And so for us, we said, how do we change the narrative or get us thinking differently about the river? We said, how funny or fun would it be if we just had costumes or had artists just make cool things and just paddle them on the river? And so, as Simone said, most joyous. It's one of those events where we're usually participating, paddling in our giant loon canoe. And to see people sitting on the banks of the river, just smiling and maybe they brought a picnic and little kids. And for a lot of people, they've never... Again, the river's dangerous. There's never been an invitation to
they've
come.
Never paddled. A lot of people that paddle with us is the first time, even if they've canoed 100 times, first time on the Red River.
And it's such an amenity. Again,
it's here, right in the middle. Yeah.
It's like we could be done with this podcast and we could be canoeing on the river in like 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
And it would be just this serene sort of like, where are we? And it's like, oh, we're literally in downtown Fargo on the Red River.
If you do want to have a tourist moment, I think it's Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
They do canoe rentals at the Yum-Cums.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where we get our rental canoes.
Is there still a boat?
No,
the Ruby Red is no longer. Ruby Rose is no longer.
But getting done with work on a Tuesday with our team and hiking down to the spot and
grab a canoe.
You literally are canoeing in nature, seeing wildlife in 15 minutes. It's
really
crazy.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So
I love that. You guys encourage that so well and do such a good job of that too. Yeah. And you guys are really, it's clear you guys are making an impact, making a difference in our community for sure. What would you guys have for like a piece of advice to give someone who might think, how can I, go out and make a difference in my community? Or what impact can I have? But what kind of advice would you have?
Well, I think maybe put differently than how I've said it already, I think there's a little bit of like finding that flow, so follow your strengths, sure. what do you have skills in, or like what's your superpower, and I think that's really important. And then I also think that great impact can still be enjoyable. You know, I
Right.
think that
Yeah.
it shouldn't be
Yeah.
it shouldn't be this grind or you're losing sleep over it, because
Yeah.
to me that's not flow, right? That's not
No.
the kind of the abundance mindset.
I think a lot of people, if they're good at something, they automatically want to make, or they like something, they automatically want to make it their job. And that can make it not fun really fast.
Sure.
And that's where I think starting small is where we found a lot of success. Because, you know, we've said this a million times, being incremental, you know, you don't have to
Right. It's
make
not all going
it-
to happen overnight.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to make it the biggest thing ever when you start. You don't have to fully commit. You can do it so many different ways that make a huge impact, that don't stress you out, that don't cost
Yeah.
a lot of money, that don't have a big investment, that can still be fun and awesome. And maybe instead of, you know, starting a nonprofit that does events, maybe you just have a once a month disco because it's
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd
And
come.
that's, making a difference in, You're like, and do that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, I think too, for folks that are supporting people with ideas, is how do we find the reason why something will work?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I like that.
and get behind people. And I mean, Fargo is such a unique place for so many reasons, but this idea of, how do you take a big idea or something really challenging, and how do you turn it into what I would call like an actionable coffee, which is like, who's one person I can introduce you to for coffee?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, or who's the first person you're going to call? And I think starting at that level of taking like big challenges or really big ideas and just distilling it down to like, one step, like what's that first phone call, that first thing that I should try to work on, I think is really important to make it manageable, but also get connected, right? I mean, I think Fargo is such a unique place to start stuff, and that sense of possibility, I think that's the thing that's drawn me and kept me here, is that having lived in, like I said,
Right,
Chicago,
yeah. You
or
guys could live anywhere.
living in Los Angeles for school, it's like, how do you even rent an office space? Like, how do you start something here in Chicago? Like, there's so much going on. Like, you feel like it's just such a rat race or a competition. And in Fargo, I think there's really space for people to start things, and I think that's really attractive. So I think if you're listening and thinking about starting something, like, do it. You know, like, take a stab, do experiment,
Come be a vendor.
Yeah.
yeah, try
Come on over.
try it out. I think too, I think it's all about, we have vision and dream, which is really a powerful thing that I think as humans that we all possess. But I go back to our first farmers market. We were really mindful about our own expectations, and we said, what does success look like? And we just started really low. It's no fun if you've got high expectations and you come and then you're disappointed, and looking in the mirror, it's like, well, whose expectations are those?
Right.
This isn't some paper from my English teacher.
We
This
said-
is my project. This is my idea.
Yeah, we said we wanted to have one of the best farmers market in the country in 10 years.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we still got 2 years.
And for the farmers market, we said opening day, the very first year, if we have 8 vendors and see 500 people, that would be a success.
Sure.
Well, we had 10 vendors and saw 800 people.
Wow.
And we said, all right, we're doing
Okay,
it.
we
Right
did
out of
it.
the
It
gate,
is a
we've
farmers
done.
market.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that is so inspiring what you guys are doing, and it's so cool to see you guys doing this together. Seems like you guys work really well together.
Yeah.
It's
guys-
rare.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. And definitely to that point. Yeah. Definitely. But I'm excited for all the events you guys have coming up, and then just to see them continue to grow. And you're just adding more and more things too. And I guess it's experiences is what you're adding. Because I always think about, like, I prefer experiences over things. And like those are like the memories to be had.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
just building our community. So
That's very much, yeah. Yeah, we got some fun things on the horizon. I'd say the biggest thing that we're working on right now is we've actually been working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Corp with the Fueling Our Future initiative,
okay.
which is a larger community initiative really thinking about workforce, quality of life, skills training, sort of a lot of the conversations that are happening amongst business leadership. But for us, obviously, we've been working on quality of life, so there's a big segment there
Right.
on, how do we have vibrant events that are great people that live here, that make it a better place to live, that are helpful if we're trying to recruit people to come to our community. But where we're really excited is something new is we've always worked with college students, but really excited to continue to engage college students in the work that we do and really figure out how do we
keep them here.
Yeah, support those, growing professionals as they enter the workforce or decide to, find a opportunity or gig in town, but also support their ideas, which is like, what are you excited about? And what do you want to see in our community? Because I think it's true of high school kids, and it's especially true of college kids. But if you don't see yourself here as a high school student, if you're here for 4 years for school and you're like, nah, I'm leaving, like we failed. Sure. I think as a community, it's like what are we doing? We've got thousands of young people that are in this community that are coming here to learn, and they don't want to stay. That to me is like the number one priority for being a vibrant place, because it's just, young folks have all sorts of ideas, and they don't know better or wrong, or if no one's told them that's never worked. They haven't, been tainted by, decades of whatever it may be. And not, again, we're not old. But it's, I do feel not as relevant when some of our interns come in. So it's a good reality check.
It's like, oh, wow. So, when you were born. Wow.
Yeah. So Campus FM is one of the projects that we're working on on that front. And a big part of that is this, for students by students media internship. Having students learn the skills of storytelling and digital storytelling, but doing it in such a way that they're on TikTok and Instagram talking about why Fargo's cool to their peers. Nice. So that's a fun project that I think is going to fold in really nicely to everything.
FM Campus?
Campus
FM.
Yep.
Okay.
On Instagram. Cool, check it out.
If you have a better name idea, let us know. We're working on that too. But yeah, so that's something new that we're excited to fold in, and again, just excited to connect with young people in our community in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. And I love you guys, like your mission is to have Fargo be the greatest place to live on earth. I love that.
Yeah.
I think my relatives, they remind me though when it is like 30 below that like you do live there. I'm like, I know. I do.
We have a mobile sauna for that reason too.
That's right. I have not checked it out.
Yeah,
oh my
get
gosh.
Inspired. Yeah. Everyone needs a sauna. That's my tip for winter.
To get us through. And though it does, like all those events though, just the community, like people do live here, and yes, we get through the cold winters, and I can't imagine living somewhere else really.
Yeah. I think it is.
I like to travel, but I like to come home.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, I think it's important to create those moments to be able to get somewhere warm in the winter, or see something different, or visit family, whatever it may be. But I think even on this idea that, community belonging is a result of those shared experiences. Winter is such a shared experience here. Right, we all go through it. We're all going through sort of like the trial and the hardship of it. And I wonder if there's maybe even a way for us to like celebrate that. St. Patrick's Day Parade, I think, is such an interesting community event because we're not overly Irish here, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a fun parade. But it usually falls around that like late March, right, or St. Patrick's Day, I guess, and it's spring, right?
First glimmer of hope,
right? Yeah,
65-degree day. So I've
melting.
thought, is like, would we ever like rename the St. Patrick's Day Parade the like Spring Parade, or just sort of like, because it's like, to me, it's like this. This celebration of the warm weather.
We made it.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of cathartic relief for everybody. Like, yes, all right, so
we did this.
High five, yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you guys for all that you're doing in our community and that you're continuing to do. It's inspiring. I think it's encouraging to so many people. I know it is to me, and I love all the things that you guys are doing. So it's fun to partake in those and experience.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, sharing your story. Wow, what a great episode. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always so inspiring sharing these stories. Remember to like and subscribe below to the YouTube channel to stay caught up with new episodes of New Day with Ashley. And make sure to follow New Day with Ashley and KFGO on all social medias. The links are in the description. I'll see you in the next episode.